Any other member like to make a contribution?
Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry, I didn't want to go. Got the video on.
I hear a voice. I'm trying to pick up who it is.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker.
MP Cannonier, you have your 20 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Not going to spend too much time on the resignation of the former minister. I think my colleagues have waxed well and spoken very clearly of the admiration that all of us have had for the position that he's in. I think the major issue here really is a time when we are all looking for hope. Doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, doesn't matter if your house is blue, green, yellow, whatever the case may be. At a time with the circumstances of Bermuda and where we are, this was an impactful blow to Bermuda because at the time of budget, we were looking for hope. And we were expecting to hear from the finance minister something that would give us just a peek at being able to hold on to something that we were going to make it through. The realities of where we are, Mr. Speaker, and I'll refer to just quickly looking at my notes here, the realities of where we are is people are still lining up for groceries. I've been in the had the opportunity to be able to go out and deliver lunches and the likes and dinners. People are still lining up. And it's not just low income, it's middle income as well that is suffering at this time. We've heard enough reports about during COVID, the rich are getting richer, yet the middle class and poor are getting poorer. Through this whole last 2 years of COVID-19, this pandemic, we got a challenge on our hands. Our parents are very concerned about our schools and the kids. You walk through Washington Mall and it looks like you're walking through a clearance house, completely empty on the ground floor. No one in there. We recognize that our tourism numbers are just as low as they can possibly get. Cost of living is continuing to rise. And even in the good work that is being done, we just saw within the last week, Malcolm did a great job of giving out groceries, but people were complaining about their Balco bill. Here we are doing a good work, and I commend the honorable member for putting on such a fantastic opportunity of giving groceries away to those who are in need. But yet at the same time, on the breath of everyone was, you need to lower our Balco bill. That is no indictment on the honorable member. That is just a fact on where we are. Our cost of living continues to increase. And those of us who listen to the news are hearing that, interest rates are going to go up. So that must mean government's cost is going to get higher. And so other goods are going to get higher as well. Here we are. Young men, when you walk through the park, more than I've seen ever in the history of Bermuda. You walk through Paulville Park or any of these parks, you cannot get a few people without one of them asking you for money. Young men, lost and bewildered. And let me add to that, young black men and a few white men as well. And now I see ladies who are part of it as well. And it reminds me of when in 2011, we were all out canvassing at that time, a similar situation. But the volume and the number of young people who are out there on their own has grown tremendously. You flip that coin over, Mr. Speaker, and you look at the ministries that we have here by our government, national security, we see crime is up. Education, we're getting votes of no confidence. And education, tourism, record number, low numbers, health, It's going up and up and up. And we were looking at a plan by the health minister, and it seems that they've come up with a different one than the original one, so they must have abandoned the first one. I don't know. We'll hear more from the health minister. Transport. We see we got electric buses, but we've had strikes, which had nothing to do necessarily all with the number of buses that were on the road. And now we have lost airlift. St. Regis is still waiting for their gaming license after promises were made. Still not there. And lo and behold, the BIU president says, quote, "What has this government done?" And I've heard speeches this afternoon that have spoke that we're going to get on with getting the business done. Please forgive us. Our commitment to doing better. All of this is coming from our government, but yet at the same time, people are looking for some hope and something to hold on to. And so when that resignation came, our government got a glimpse at how much everyone was behind the PLP's former finance minister. Black, white, low, rich, international business, local business. All you got to do is look at the blogs. Everyone was rooting for this guy to bring us some hope. So excuse us for having questions about why, at the eve of a budget, this happened. Now, I get the point of the Honorable Member Kim Swan making his point that, John Swan shouldn't have weighed in. John Swan didn't weigh in on behalf of the OBA. All he said was, we are in a crisis. That is nonpartisan. UBP doesn't exist because some UBP members are on here, but they don't exist as a party. The former leader knows that. He made a nonpartisan comment, and it's not the first and last time that he's going to do it. Now, I'm not trying to...
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Point of order.
Yes, I think the honorable member in his flow is misleading the House. I didn't say the Premier was representing the OBA. I said the former Premier, Sir John Swan, was speaking on behalf of the OBA. I said the Honorable Sir John Swan should be above partisan politics because he was elevated to national hero status.
Remember, I'm clear on what you said. You
Yes.
expressed your viewpoint. The other members expressing his viewpoint. Is not trying to twist what you said.
Well, he was misrepresenting what I said, Mr. Speaker. That's why I called a point of order.
Okay. All right. I'm listening very clearly because I know today is very sensitive. Okay. Continue on.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. If his comments were partisan, I'm not sure partisan on whose side. Quite frankly, there's only two parties out there right now. So I'm not sure who he's talking about. Like I said, UBP does not exist anymore. So where this partisanship comes from, I don't know. So maybe he can clarify it in an article for us. That will be good. Or maybe he can do like the former honorable member and say to Mr. Tweed, I ask for forgiveness. Because what I see happening here, quite frankly, but the arguments that we have heard today, I have not heard from this PLP government answer to any of the issues that are out there right now. And when the OPA was government, yes, we had to answer to issues, and this government must answer to the issues that are out there. They are out there. Now, the PLP wants to ignore the people of Bermuda, but when your BIU president comes out and says what he has to say, what has this government done in 5 years? Oh my goodness, somebody needs to pay attention. That's not anybody else. No one partisan saying that. That's the BIU president. When the teachers get up and say there's a vote of no confidence, something is not going well. And when you add to that a finance minister that we all admire, all of us, and he resigns on the eve of a budget, maybe the comments that we're giving were right. Well, couldn't the Premier have maneuvered through this till after the budget? And I listened to former members talking about resignations and all that, and I'll be like Zane. I saw in the paper where he said he knows what it means to resign or something to that effect. I certainly do as well. We know what the cut and thrust of politics is. But at the end of the day, we have a problem. And it's up to this premier to give us hope at what is going to happen now and in the future. Because the past has been ugly. It's been ugly. And I've been calling since PLP became government, revitalize the economy, get something doing. And when the premier gets up and says, we're not going to do the America's Cup again, because we keep hearing, how did blacks benefit from this here? Well, let me just say this here, Mr. Speaker. I was in charge of making sure that entrepreneurs up in Redco built the infrastructure for the America's Cup. And you want to know what? Every week I met with the minister, Grant Gibbons, and his permanent secretary. And I was screaming at them, you better make sure black people get up there and low-income people get jobs up here. And Redco as well, the leader of Redco will tell you, every week I was calling them, you better get these people to work. So I don't want to hear this nonsense coming from, and I use my word for saying that there, but this verbiage that the America's Cup was not good for Bermudians and that the elites made money. Well, they made money, and he's one of those elites. So whose boat is he in? And there's a lot of small entrepreneurs up there making money. Black people leading out. MC of America's Cup leading out. Put him on the world stage. And we sit here and after KPMG or whoever did the report, I can't remember who did the report, comes up, a world-renowned firm and says this worked well for Bermuda. And we still, based on race, and let me say this here based on race, Mr. Speaker, I'm not PLP's friend. Okay? I want to be very clear, but I want to be very, very introspective here. Think about what I'm about to say. I am not your friend. What I am is your brother. And when you get up here and you make these subtle movements and words suggesting that our issues are still rooted in some of these black and white issues, you are in control. Make the changes that are needed because we're looking for it. And the hope that was placed in Curtis Dickerson as a former finance minister was just that. It was nonpartisan. It wasn't black and it wasn't white. It was all about the economy. Yeah. And that's where we need to be. And the more that PLP continues to run this race card on all kinds of issues, we are not going to get anywhere. That's why we can't get 10,000 more people here, because we won't remove the race card. We need 10,000 more people on this island. So as a government and as an opposition, let's remove everything. Let's bring back the Mark Beans and the Paula Coxes. And let's make sure and put John Swan in the room too. Let's fix this thing. All smart people, including ones in PLP. And let's fix this, because the issue really is we need more people in this island. And that's the only thing that's going to fix it. Down in Dubai, they're looking for 10 million more people. Not building buildings that are empty, but they're building and getting ready. They want more people to maintain their standard of living. And if we don't fix that, then we got major, major issues. That's the issue of this country that we need to address. Nothing else. Get more people here so our entrepreneurs can survive. That's our challenge. Now, I'm going to go back to, I am not your friend. I am your brother. So the pain that you feel, I feel too. And the racial injustices that you have felt, I know them as well. So don't get up here preaching that stuff to me in this honorable house, because I'm a part of it, as if I can't identify with it. Because that's what you're doing. Let's place the cards on the table. And there is no white member in your party that can identify with you and I. Not one. There are white members in OBA's party who cannot identify. And that goes back to even, and I'll admit it, part of my resigning. They cannot identify, but I will not stop fighting to ensure that they can identify. But I'm not going to beat them over the head. I'm not getting anywhere. Same old sorry story. Every time we get in the house, we go back to that. When are you going to stop? The land of opportunity is Bermuda. Let's take control of it and make something happen. Now, one of you, out of the 30 of you, have defended where's the 800,000. Not one of you have defended and said, listen, and I can tell you, you bring the former finance minister back to the table. I'm asking myself, why was the
point of order, Mr. Cannonier, there's a point of order there.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Continue.
The member does not know if anyone in our party has had any conversations about the 800,000. He has no clue what goes on behind closed doors in our party, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I acknowledge that. What I'm saying is where's the 800,000? We know it's going missing. I don't know if it was stolen or what, but it went missing.
Well, Mr. Cannonier, I'll be careful. Mr. Cannonier, I'll be careful there because I think we all has learned that it was being investigated.
Yes, all I'm saying is, I just said, we don't know where it is.
Well, the parliamentarians are not the investigators, so we can't answer that.
I didn't ask for anyone to answer. We just need to know where it is.
I can't hear you now.
There needs to be an investigation, continued investigation onto where it is.
Mr. Cannonier, can you get closer to the mic because it's very difficult hearing you.
Yes. I like being up close to you because of that.
Yeah.
And while you're in that seat there, Deputy Speaker, I just want to say to you that I concur with you as well. This nonsense about not having a Bermudian commissioner and the likes, we have experienced people that I grew up that have been in there for years. That appointment should have already been made, not no acting commissioner. We got several people that we can name, all of us, over the top of our head, who can do that position, and it's still not filled. This is an injustice in Bermuda. It cannot go on. So I concur with you. Let's get this thing fixed. This is crazy. What's going on? Like we can't investigate ourselves.
Exactly.
World? A first world country, Bermuda. So I just wanted to say that I concur with that. But I want to say this here. You know, our premier came in on the wave of transparency. He beat up our former finance minister. You know that, Deputy Speaker, over transparency, especially with the airport. But premier can't even tell us the terms of the $11 million for GEMCO. I mean, you know, these are basic questions that are being asked. People are just looking for answers. If you don't give any answers, then they speculate. They just speculate. And what we need to do, and I've been saying it over and over and over, Premier, so that people don't speculate, give some answers so they don't speculate. But this is a running commentary of this Premier. Now, the OBA had its resignation. I was one of them, but we got a sling of them. And if the honorable member Swan was going to get up and talk about, oh, well, you know, Joe Swan, he had problems and he'd been, you know, worked his way through the relationships and so he didn't resign. But we got an opposite case here. We got ministers resigning, one after the other, then even some senators resigning. So what is the Premier not doing? Or what is he doing to prevent this? I'm concerned. Everybody else on the street is talking and concerned. Something needs to happen here. And it's not like the PLP is not capable. And then you have a former premier of the PLP saying that the depth of the PLP, the premier is not going to have any problems filling all of those positions that should become available. He's got a wealth of intellectual capital within the PLP. But yet, 2-3 days later, he makes himself a finance minister. And all the people in Bermuda who were nonpartisan with the former minister, Curtis Dickinson, are now basically saying, oh my goodness, we're in trouble. Because the premier has taken it over. He needs to answer, well, why? You got all of this intellectual capital behind you. Why not give it to somebody else? Now, that's him, and he can answer for it. He's
Mr. Kenny, you got 20 seconds.
Yes.
You got 20 seconds.
Something needs to happen. And if the premier doesn't give any answers, I'm going to say this here, because none of my colleagues are willing to say it. The premier needs to resign. Because more stuff is going to come out, Mr. Speaker, of anomalies,
20 seconds is up. Thank you.
He needs to
Thank you for your contribution, Mr. Cannonier. Any further speakers?